Hello, ladies and gentlemen. As usual, we are set. Very exciting, by the way, very energized, and I'm feeling good, just as you are. And you know why I'm feeling good is because of the kind of wisdom that I get. And I believe right now we are enmeshed together. We are one because we are tapping from one particular source. And today is one of those best days that I want you to be very keen. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you understand that friends are good. And it is written and it is said, by the way, that friends are kisses sent by angels from heaven. I don't know how true is that. But again, how far should you go with your friends, especially when they move to the next season, the season that you are not yet in? The next season is marriage. There are certain adjustments that you need to make once your friend gets married. And amongst the adjustments you need to make is the emotional adjustments. And that is where most of us have failed. Most of us have been accused of interfering with our friend's marriage. So today on this show, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about how you need to observe the emotional boundaries with your married friends. How do you do that? That is why Benjamin is here. Hey, Benjamin.
Hello. And you remember last time I told you to have pity on girls who need a lot of help from people who are not their relatives.
Yes.
And who will help them and start feeling entitled to some kind of reciprocation. And because I've opened doors for you.
Yes.
And you're very appreciative, but you also know, you thought it was free help. And many of them mentors, bosses, or teachers, or somebody who assisted you in some way, and two problems conglomerate, they meet to complicate the matter. That's why many girls messed up that individuation season. Between home and work, in between, it's very murky and you need helpers. You get internship, you know, in internships you're placed under people to show you how things happen here. So a person who assisted you get into that company, first of all. The other one who is assisting you get around. The person who's so there's a group I told you the other day about the young girls, and they are the most vulnerable today. It's wider. I'm going to discuss about even when you're married yourself and your friend is also married, the boundaries. But I wanted to highlight this group and tell you, when they are young and they're desperately in search of settling for a job and getting some income, many of them find it very rough. When they need a lot of assistance, and the people who should help them because of the nature of their duty, the position, you are the one who's supposed to help people want to interact with this company, but when they see you, they want to take advantage. More so young ladies in their early 20s. So the one factor is they need assistance. They just graduated, they need to get into the internship, they're applying for jobs, things are tough, they're looking for way to get in. And also, they're too young to see things clearly. Remember I told you your brain has many compartments. There's occipital lobe about vision. There are many lobes, departments. But the frontal lobe is notoriously slow in growing. Yeah. And yet it is the one responsible for judgment, your personality. All right? It is the one responsible for foresight, forethought, rational thinking. Your mind has the ability to extrapolate, project, imagine where this will lead to. That frontal lobe is one that helps you reason and draw lines into the future. If this starts, because before it matures, that ability is very small. Very small. I told you that's why hyenas are riding on university students who can't see by being recorded on videos today, doing circus and embarrassing things. You are destroying your reputation for a relationship that was useless, benefiting YouTubers who are not in your life, who don't like you, who are not into you. They pretended that they're helping you sort something, but they wanted the views, they wanted the money. It's because of the innocence and the frontal lobe, the brain that has not matured, that our university students are vulnerable to vouchers. And because our daughters are being left without parenting, they go looking for any kind of support out there. We want to play the father figure and warn them and plead with them in the mercies of God. Remain low key. In school, confine yourself to learning activities. Yeah. It will be boring, but it will be safe. It will not be fashionable. You may not flow with the trends, the clothing, the dancing, the this. No. You don't need that. We never had it, me and Bramel. And today we are here. Yeah. We looked plain, boring. Bookworms. But we attended moot court.
Yeah.
We went to the model stations. The school has healthy, exciting learning activities. If you train your appetites to get satisfied by the right things, you don't need rave, you don't need clubbing, you don't need drinking, you don't need lap dance, you don't need awkwardness, you don't need to shoot yourself short of, you don't need to do those awkward things to feel excited, you don't need night outs. Night we are always in. Country boys, we know the rules. Bring the chicken in and also come in yourself. So, but a lot of it was lack of money. But anyway, I don't know whether you know that God can save you using scarcity.
Yes.
Make sure you can't finance the clubbing. So you pretend like you're not interested. You're not available. You're very busy. So the bigger problem of why this topic becomes necessary is the same group.
Yeah.
That does not see that by trading the integrity of their body, by compromising, they are complicating their days down the line. They're complicating their life way ahead. And they can't see, they project their own genuineness on the people they're talking to. They think everybody means well, like they mean well. They get so confused when they have already done things that are so damaging and they spiral downwards. All right. So that's the first group. So let's talk about when you are married colleagues, why it's important to observe boundaries, Brahma. When you go to workplace, there are two kinds of people you never choose in this world. Your neighbors and your colleagues, because you are not the one appointing them. The earth is not yours and the company is not yours. You have generally been absorbed like others have been absorbed. You find people here. You have to learn to get along with them. Okay?
Yeah.
You don't choose neighbors, don't choose relatives, you don't choose colleagues. These people come from where you came from. You're just colleagues. So, because these people, you can't choose them, you have to live with them. Now, you're going to spend a lot of time with some of the people, and I told you that, let me remind you one of the opposite things. At your workplace, you'll always have the people you get along the most.
Yeah.
And others you don't get along at all. They mean you're very safe.
It's
I don't need to do an interview in your company. I know the overall. As long as that company has more than 3 people. I just need, how many staff? Thank you. The following are true. Anywhere in the world. Just tell me how many and I'll tell you the following principles are true from human relations. They're those people you flow along the better. Of all the group, that's the person you can work very easily.
Yeah.
And you step in for each other. You cover up for each other. You communicate easily. You update each other on what's happening. The WhatsApp group has everybody, but not everybody talks to everybody. So, now, the problem is this. Some of those people you get along well, you form a kind of a clique.
Yeah.
That you understand, you see the world from the same place and you find comfort in each other. When there's strife, you comfort each other. You take meals together, you update each other on this, you comfort. So, because you spend a lot of time at work, you and your colleague, even without any seniority issues, I'm taking the plain colleague relationship. Same level, same. The very fact that you and her flow now takes the opposite gender. I'm talking about the opposite sex now. The fact that you flow and you complement each other and emotional warmth can develop. You can start being emotionally warm to each other. One of you could be single, another one married. You could be both of you married, could be both of you single, but you know you're not for each other. But emotions grow. They are growing because of 2 reasons. Let me disappoint you. It's not because they are you flaw. It's because in this context they are the best. You are liking them in comparison to the rest. Remember that.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you ever make that mistake I told you about proximity. Now I'm highlighting comparison.
Yes.
In contrast to how you can't converse with the rest and how you don't understand how they think. Can an adult think like that? You and this person always agree. You see, the closeness is coming because of comparison. So colleagues get too close and they lose track of boundaries because in this context, they form a clique, they understand each other. It's a very common phenomenon. Yeah. Now, the next phenomenon is this. When the person is above you, more so when the person is the guy and you are the guy, the one below you, your junior is a lady. She is submitted and obedient and eager to hear your instructions. Does that sound familiar? Let me disappoint you. seniority is very tempting to men because you get ladies saying, yes, sir. Get ladies saying, yes, sir. That is very stroking to your ego.
Yes.
It's like she's willing to do anything you request. Yes, sir. As you request, yes, your tea. Can I do anything for you? Watch out your ego. Especially if your woman at home is defiant. Hey. Brother, don't marry Manga. If you make other mistakes, don't marry a headstrong woman. Because look at you. Among men, you are a man. Then at work, there's a girl telling you, yes, sir, are you okay? Can I give you some tea? Right? Did you? Yes, I did the work. No, I don't mean to. So the second case is when there is submission that is corporate, but your ego interprets how you wish that was your wife.
Yes.
Okay. Men have a God complex, wanting to be worshipped, instructed. We have an inherent weakness. Wicked women have learned to manipulate that. They pretend very at your service.
Yeah.
When a cunning woman targets you, you will think her aim on this earth is to serve you, make you comfortable, make you happy. They feign it. They fake it because they know it's our weakness. Remember that. Why do we keep on going to hotels? The ladies serving us, they make us feel like we are the most important people. Although you know it's not personal, it's general and professional, but the feeling is nice. Have you noticed those hotels that employ guys? And the guys are very polite and congenial. Ladies, they are their best. Yeah. The lady customers prefer that guy's service. I've seen hotels that are very wise. There are men who excel at catering because they've mastered that skill. Ladies also enjoy that. Being told, my lady, what can I do for you? Let me pull the chair for you. That is very intoxicating.
I've seen it even in salons.
Thank you. The salons that are very clever, they bring a guy.
Yes.
Who is well spoken and listens and man, the feeling itself is very but it's very strong when it's the man on top and the ladies your subordinate at the workplace. You may forget that this is purely professional. It's not personal. If you leave and another guy comes in the same position, they will behave the same. Okay?
Yeah.
That is the part that you shall disappoint yourself with to remind yourself back to balance, back to sanity. Okay? Sometimes you need to open the window for some air to come in. When you hear the feelings coming, brother, learn to listen inside. When you hear something building up, go and open the window, remind yourself, my brother, this is not personal.
It is professional.
Okay? Now, I don't go deeper into that relationship itself. I dwell on it because it also brings another. Some of those ladies needed guidance of a father.
Yes.
And they never quite got it. Their father was military. Bring me tea. What happened at school? All right. What did the teacher say? What did you score? That is better this time, but it's not enough. We are working very hard to make sure you have a future. There was no relationship. But here you are. You're saying, Agnes, don't worry. Oh, you're so nice of you. It's okay. Consider it. I'll call you. Then you ring the bell. She comes running.
Yes.
Be very careful. Many things you've heard of men and their secretaries, men and their assistants. Yes. This is what they mistook. And many times these ladies begin to visualize you in their head if they are not emotionally aware of the boundaries. And the only safety you have in the workspace. Keep your integrity levels, your boundary levels, your sobriety, your emotions. Keep them very far. You can't avoid dealing with people, can't avoid working with people. But when you can, avoid bringing ladies into the inner space. Ladies are not the same, but there are ladies who, especially, you find natural click, natural chemistry, natural this. Have you asked yourself why very professional modern guys employ old women with their families? Don't tell them I told you, but Sometimes it looks odd when you walk into an office and the guy is maybe me and you are this our generation.
Yes.
But he's being served by a person who's the age of his mother.
Yeah. I've seen it.
That's a very wise man.
Today you got the answer.
That's a very wise man. It's not always. Many of them just that's the best person for them. But there are many guys who will not explain it. But they knew. They don't under a slaying girl here. His mind will never concentrate.
Yeah.
It's a very easy trick, brother. Don't tell people why you prefer that. I think this lady is good for the job. And in many places you find that a lady would have expected is being served by, a person of that. You find a person who is the next generation.
Yeah.
And you find that the driver is like her father. And you find the relationship is very professional. That's what she was looking for. She wanted a person she can maintain professional. I want you to hire the age group with whom you can maintain a professional relationship. Mm. Don't tell people that you have your own boundaries you're trying to manage. So you may appear weak, but outwardly we want to make sure that we are giving everybody equal rights and we are going to hire because depending on competence and that is good for the company, but for your personal space.
Yes.
Do you know that there are some people who move with their assistants? They're transferred, they carry their assistant with them.
Yeah.
There's one guy who told me he has been the driver for that minister for 30 years.
Look at that.
The same driver. He told me he's both the driver and the PA. He's a guy and the minister is a guy. I saluted that minister because I could see what he is operating underneath.
Yes.
You have been to schools and you're seeing principals and they move with their assistants. Because they knew if I don't establish peace in my inner space, I would never work, never function. You'll be vulnerable to all kind of things. So, boundaries, they get crossed. This person is married to your boss because they started occupying the place of your father or something. Yes. And you forgot and you started fantasizing them without knowing. Our emotions never grow up. Emotions don't think you have to think for them. Yeah. Your emotional side is your child side. So that's the second case. The third case that I tell you the solutions. Let me track you. Let me recap the lesson. The lesson is saying emotional closeness grows simply because we are spending a lot of time together and simply because me and you get along better than the rest of the colleagues. In this context, we think alike. Yeah. But the warning is, does not mean you are better as a couple. It only means in this context and compared to the rest, they shine a lot.
Yes.
All right?
Yeah.
I told you about proximity. Now there's comparison, contrast. All right? The second case is when the lady submits to you in a way you wished to be submitted to by your woman. Serves you without questioning, without challenging, and your vanity can get stroked. Don't ask me whether you have vanity, as long as you are a healthy guy. All I need to know is he a healthy guy? Okay, thank you, that's enough. We all have that side, that potential. Yeah. The third case is where you're experiencing the same things. This is not work related now. Purely socially. They experience breakup and you have been through a breakup. You comfort each other through child happening. This, my mother ill. Oh, mine was also ill. How is it going? Can I take you? We visit. You start assisting each other socially in whichever context you met. This could be church, could be work, whatever. But whenever you meet a person who you know they are unavailable emotionally, they are married, but you start assisting each other like friends. They were in a financial situation or sick situation or anything situation, or they were having difficulties at work and you helped them through it and you started assisting each other in things that are personal. You can develop emotional closeness quickly because whenever people tell you their secrets of their heart goes with it. When people entrust you with their private life, their heart also comes with it. They start emotionally seeing you as a person who supports them, who is there for them. And I told you it's very easy to know who is influencing a person. They keep coming up in their conversation. Human beings are very easy to read. Yeah. You can tell who is influencing who because of who they keep referring to. In fact, Brahman said like, if it's Brahman, this lady is talking to a lot, Brahman will keep coming up. Yes. It's not a bad sign. Does not mean there's already crossed boundaries. That's not what I mean. I mean, the person, we are always being close to people, influenced by people. All right? The people we are reading from. You hear me quoting Joyce Meyer a lot because I listen to her a lot. Yes. You hear me quote Bruce Lee, I watch him. Any story of excellence for me, it's welcome. There's a guy called Simon Cowell. He has started a very big movement, you know, it called Got Talent. This was this America Got Talent, Britain Got Talent. I think one of the most moving human stories happening on that stage, because people are given the chance to showcase their gift to the world and to make money out of it. I saw one child who had cancer and fought it and took violin. She played violin so well, and she went and presented there because she had been bullied at school because of the cancer treatment, took away the hair, and the kids, they're only 10, they're bullying him. And he took violin and played so well, sensationally, and he was given the Golden Buzzer. Golden Buzzer is a direct ticket to the finals, to best presentations. Like without all these auditions, when you're given a Golden Buzzer by one of the judges, it's a direct ticket, and it shoots you to stardom. So it was a very sensational story. So I watch sensational stories and I will quote them as I talk. That does not mean there's inappropriateness, but I'm just telling you that we are never islands. We are never islands. We are learning from someone. So the third situation is when you are assisting each other in your personal struggles. It starts when you travel on a trip, the two of you representing the company, so you're spending a lot of time together in the trip. It starts when you have gone somewhere on a seminar, the two of you. It starts when you're working on something, the two of you. It starts when you and the lady in the church have been made the leaders of youth. It starts when you're working somewhere together, when you've a chance to get personal. Are we together? The context are from here to wherever. But you realize you like them, how they think, you click, and you give them ideas that work, and you observe boundaries. Now, where does this one get wrong? This one gets wrong when the person starts comparing you with their partner. That's number one, telling you, I wish I met you before I married. Whenever you start hearing that language, you must carefully deflect it. Don't kill good friendships. Let me also disappoint you that all your friendships with the opposite sex are potential affairs. Swallow that and fight with it. If you want to stone me, you can. The chemistry we have with our friends, if it's not watched, can cross boundaries.
Yes.
Are we together?
Yeah.
If you have a chemistry with a lady, that chemistry is the same chemistry if you spend time together, if you talk more, if you confide in each other, and you don't observe boundaries, can become flirtatious, can become unfaithfulness. Friendships depend on chemistry. Affairs depend on chemistry. Are we together?
Yeah.
You can never marry a person you don't have a connection with, and you can never have affairs with people you don't have a connection with. So where's the connection? Are we together? And today we are talking about emotional infidelity, which means close together emotionally. So the fact that you flow with a person, it's your character and your boundaries that keep the relationship going in a safe way. There's a friendship among two musicians that lasted many years. Dolly Parton and the late Kenny Rogers.
Yeah.
For many years, they would sing collabos, and it was celebrated. So some people try to suspect, they have an affair. They don't have to. They just have a good connection. If you maintain the connection well, like friends, it can be so fruitful. That's how business partnerships operate. That's how the world operates, and that's how you can never confine your woman to never talk to this. Never. Trust her boundaries, and unless she gives you reasons to think otherwise, let her leave, man. The same way you have friends with whom you can laugh. Friends you can flow with. You are self-controlled, you know boundaries. So how shall you observe the boundary? Number one, with this colleague with whom you're working and you understand each other, keep at the back of your mind, this is professional, and when you start fantasizing them, deflect your feelings to other things. They are married, or you are married, or you are not available for each other. This is not the time for romance, and this is not the place. And I ask you, if you marry every colleague, how many will you marry? You'll be working for your life. This is mandatory. This skill is mandatory. You understand?
Yeah.
So, when you realize it is getting emotional and getting out of hand, pull back to the healthy place. It's better to risk losing a friend, than to risk crossing boundaries with your relationships, your marriage, and hurting your woman. Are we together? So, if you had planned lunch and you realize, is this lunch appropriate? I'm not comfortable with this lunch. These video calls, they're not necessary. Pull back. With all the theory, I'm discussing the theory now. Sometimes the person who is serving you at work can ask you, and now the second case where is the senior who is being served by the junior. Don't give financial assistance outside. Don't give too much gifting. You, the boss, don't give this lady who's serving you too much assistance. Too much personal thing. In fact, when you realize it's getting too personal, do the skill I told you of the wise men. Change them. Don't pity them. Just transfer them. Yeah. In fact, many times, Bramwell, when you have a male assistant, it is easier job to do. You can get a good guy. Don't say, nah, mind discriminating. This is your personal space and you must control your path in life.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So employ a person from another generation. Or another dude. Or a lady you don't like at all. One who's dressing you find offensive. We have been shaved, and in shaving they use ladies a lot to attend to the men, to wash. Have you found how easy it is to be attended to a lady whom you don't find attractive at all?
Yeah.
You don't even remember who it was. When you walk in, whichever comes. It is, you see, it would be offensive to be watched by a guy and he's trying to, and men are not trained for that. Men are trained for the shaving. Yes. Of course, men also do. We have seen them in salons, but you're saying for the major part, in barber shops. I realize one thing, brother. There's some things as a man, you just make personal rules. And if you don't make personal rules, they remain like a loophole.
Yeah.
That is a potential source of trouble. The lower men, or men who want to live carelessly and don't have big career, don't fear God, don't have integrity, that kind of life, they almost have leeway to do anything and get away with it. But not you. Not you. Who has a life, a godliness, integrity, a family, a woman to protect. You must install. Whenever you see a potential loophole, you are like a farmer. Every now and then, take a straw around your farm, carrying a panga to close the loopholes. Yeah. Where the dogs might have peeped their head. As a woman, if you want to live a peaceful life, decide early. Sources of temptation. You can't follow your woman to salon to see who is attending her. Yes. You can't follow her to those things they do with the nails. Many times it's the guys, surely, this is an adult. As I told you, don't insult your woman by tracking her down. It's even very offensive. Trust her and let her live her life. She was living before you came. Okay? Yeah. Have some integrity and do to her what you want to be done to you. Do you want to be followed everywhere yourself? No. So, but as a woman, she must decide what she finds tempting and push it away. That is the cost of marriage. Mm-hmm. Don't rush to marriage if you're not ready for that. Yeah. Decide what you find too tempting and push it away. Sometimes ladies are assisted by a guy and they like their assistance very much. Mm-hmm. Maybe the garage, somebody is attending to her. It may be guys who attend to their shoes, who sell them this, who sell them this. You can never contain a woman. If she does not have personal principles, there's no hope. Yeah. She will stray. Adults are too complicated to be investigated like a child. Will you program them like a computer? No. Exactly. People can cheat and get away with it for many years. So, I don't want to provoke my woman into thinking, to challenging her if she can do it. You know, sometimes you investigate people, it's like you are challenging them. Mm-hmm. How do you feel when a person is trying to ask you, who was that you are talking to? You ask yourself, so you think if I were to cheat, I would do it so openly? Would you like me to prove a point? Don't provoke your woman to demonstrate. Yeah, please. Don't bring that challenge. Truth or dare? Dare me. No. In fact, everybody has the capacity. Most sober people have the capacity to do things and keep them underneath. Mm-hmm. The best thing you can do is trust. And do good on your side. And trust God. Do good. And if something goes wrong, He will show you. Are we together? Yeah. So the last defense you have is personal boundaries. Once you realize there's closeness, brother, change the barber shop. Don't go there. Personally, I enjoy going where there are many. So you're traded by whoever. And if you realize you're being tipping them and they're getting used to it, stop the tip. Mm-hmm. Go disappear, go to another. You have 2 or 3 potential barbershops. You go to. Yeah. As a man, learn that. You go to the supermarket, you realize there was too much fun with a particular one who noticed you. Now go to the other counter. Refuse some of these small things. In fact, they should not become a topic of discussion or tension in your family. Mm-hmm. As a man, you need to reach a level where you know where the boundaries are. And as I told you, this defense of personal comes from what Joseph said. I can't do this thing and sin against my God and violate the trust of my boss. Always remember your God. Yes. Always remember the trust of those who look up to you. Finally, remember the many people you can help. Those people look up to you. The small boys, the small girls there. The young people look up to you. As many people as you can help, that's the many people you can hurt if you misbehave. Mm-hmm. You have a very high moral responsibility the more you're looked up to. It's not a pressure, just a reminder that a city built on a mountain cannot be hidden. Yes.
Beautiful. Benjamin, honestly, today is one of those shows. You've made me see some of these things from a totally different angle. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, Benjamin, we feed these emotional gaps by ourselves.
Yes.
That is why this particular conversation is very relevant and applicable to any rational being. You see, Benjamin, you realize that you told us again, there are so many things that we need to do when we move to the season of marriage. Emotional gates. There are gates we need to close emotionally.
Exactly.
If there are friendships we used to have that we know very well they're going to compromise our relationships, we have to cut them.
Exactly.
No matter what. We have to end them. Now, Benjamin, you realize again...
Let me interject. What you have brought deserves a whole conversation, but it's called flirtatious friendship. Friendships that have already crossed boundaries, and you know both of you have something that can happen.
Yes.
That's a friendship you have hinted at, and I didn't want it to slip out of hand.
Yeah.
Remind our viewers that you can have a good friend, but you know the potential for slipping and falling between the two of you is very high.
Yes.
Nobody else knows except the two of you. Okay?
Yeah.
Once you remember when me and you with that lady, temperatures start going up. And she's very vulnerable to me and I'm very vulnerable to her, and nothing has offended. She's married, I'm married, or we are not available, but you know that fact. You find her extremely beautiful, she finds you irresistibly handsome. I'm looking up so that you don't feel accused. Occasionally you like those kind of friends.
Yes.
They admire you, you admire them. That mutual admiration with a very spark of chemistry. Minimize interaction with them for no other reason other than defending your relationship, defending your integrity. David might have liked Bathsheba right away, and Bathsheba might have liked David right away. The best thing to do was, once you learn she's married, run like David, like Joseph, and like the way Timothy was told to flee. Yeah. First Timothy 2, I think it's 2 Timothy 2:22, run, flee. David could have, at that very moment, forced himself to go and chat with the soldiers. And the mood usually passes. It's when you feed it that grows. It's like fire. You smoke it out when it's small, nothing will happen. That guy fed that thing and he went so far and destroyed his history. Those flirtatious, potentially. Yeah. You know this friendship. You know them. You nearly married. Had you met when you're single, you know you'll have married.
Yeah.
Be very careful. Yes.
Wow. There is something we call the valley of compromise. The valley of compromise, Benjamin, is where men start consoling themselves through the second look. And I always say, Benjamin, what makes men fall or married men fall is the second look. You see a girl, you look at the first time, okay. You stare again the second time. You now start rationalizing. Now you start saying, it is just a conversation. She's just my employee. I don't think we can go this. When it comes to such a case, Benjamin, how far is too far? When you're saying, Benjamin, yes, she's my colleague, yes, she's my junior, how far is too far?
The first look is always innocent because you just happened to see her. And I don't expect a woman to punish her husband for happening to see that woman who passed by. It's when after seeing you go back now. It's the second visit that is intentional. The first one is automatic.
Yes.
I told you of a brother who were praying for a woman and she fell. When she fell, clothes came out. Now, the brother, by just seeing once, he had already fallen. That's a very weak person. You can't avoid seeing indecent things in this world.
Yeah.
The seeing is automatic just because you are awake. A lady passes by. But you already know that's not something you want to follow up on. So this follow-up is intentional. Always once you start fantasizing, and I told you not to have a lady in your office who is slaying you. And she can see she's having an effect and she steps up the game. Yes. You can see it. You see more effort. If that's your space, you're able to change the employees, do it. If it's not your space, you're just employed here. Employ other tactics of distancing emotionally. You know, you can be close physically, but you're not there emotionally. You don't talk. You don't look. You don't compliment. Stop the compliments. Stop the gifts. Stop the exchanges. Be quiet a week and the thing will die. It dies. It dies, Brahman. There's no temptation that will come upon you, except such as is common to men. And even in the temptation, God will give you a way to get out of it. And he says, even in your resistance, you've never resisted to a point of shedding blood. Yeah. We make big deal of some of the struggles we have today. And some guys, sometime in the past, were facing being beheaded, skinned alive, burned at the stake. Today, some of our struggles are simply emotional. And once you learn it, you know how now to stay away. All right? Yeah. And I told you the value of closed spaces. Close yourself in spaces. Don't close yourself in with a woman. It's you alone. I want you to close yourself in your car. Close yourself in office. As soon as you can finish your work, run to your house and close yourself there. So many times it's weird. You find me, I'm the only person at home. People out at work. I've done my shifts. And in between some hours, I don't want to be hanging around here. That hanging around is what David was doing. He's supposed to be at war, and he's just loitering and then happens to see. I learned that's a very strong loophole. Yes. And for me, and most active brothers, we have a lot of potential energy. The only way to get past it is Reinhard Bonke's strategy. Bonke said he will never be in a house at night with a woman who is not his wife. So he would drive to see his colleague, and arriving to find the colleague has not arrived. Is the wife at home? He is invited in the house, and because it's night, he refuses. It may look not very nice, but that's his principle. I have those principles myself. I always close myself in, and I found it very easy. I simply avoid the battles. Yes.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, hey, this deserves to be a whole seminar. But you know Benjamin what he's capable of? He has summarized just for these 30 minutes for you, dear lady, dear gentleman. A man has to do what he has to do. If it means transferring them, you have to do it. If it means withdrawing, stopping the gifts, you have to do it. A man has to do what he has to do. Protect what you love. Thank you for watching The Benjamin Zulu Show. Till next time.